If this isn't one of the ugliest buffets that I have laid my eyes on, I don't know what is. As is, this is not anything I would typically get, but our friends were giving it away for free, so I gladly brought it home to see if I could possibly make it pretty. It's gonna be an ugly duckling story today. Watch as we turn this into something you actually want in your home. First things first, the ugly and outdated trim molding on both sides had to go. It wasn't the look we wanted moving forward, and removing it would give us a clean slate to work with. To remove it, we used a hammer, flathead screwdriver, and crowbar to carefully pry it off. It took some time and elbow grease, and I found out that they were held on with glue and screws from the inside. I could have made my life so much easier if I had found the screws before, but once it was off, we could already see a huge improvement. So go ahead and remove any unnecessary trim or molding from your vintage furniture if they don't match your vision. I don't know about you, but it is so much fun to tear the furniture apart. I also removed the old decorative wings on the doors by prying them off. Man, it is already looking so much better. Next, we tackled the old hardware that came with the buffet. Using our trusty electric screwdriver that makes things so much faster, we carefully removed all the handles and knobs. Taking them off keeps them out of the way while we work on the rest of the piece. Plus, we planned on updating the hardware to something new and fresh anyway. Next, we wiped down the entire buffet with Crud Cutter and a damp rag to remove any dust and dirt and grime that was built up over the years. There was even stubborn gunk on some of the drawers underneath where the old hardware was, so we carefully scraped them off with a metal scraper. And then it was time to start fixing the mess that I made, and hide the ugly bow tie detail on the drawers and the doors. Bondo came to the rescue for us here. We mixed up multiple batches and used a lot of it to fill everything in. I was nervous that you would still be able to see the bow tie detail after I filled it in, so I made extra sure to fill it in. Sand it smooth. Fill it again. And sand it smooth again. And then would fill any little tiny holes or bubbles that were left behind. Same with the deep gouges I made from tearing off the molding. Fill, sand, fill, sand, until it was all level and smooth. We also filled the old hardware holes so I could change out the hardware to something much better than the original. This step allowed us to create a seamless and smooth surface for our new paint, and was a huge part in making this ugly duck pretty again. While letting the Bondo dry, we started sanding the top of the buffet. The old finish was old, worn out in many places, and there were so many scratches. It had to be sanded down to bare wood to remove all of that. We removed the old finish using a Festool Rotex sander and 120 grit sanding screens. We even tried out the Surf Prep 3x4 sander with the same grit to see which one would work faster. And both did the job really well. The Festool Rotex sander is more aggressive though, so it sanded the top noticeably faster than the Surf Prep 3x4 sander did. We also used the Surf Prep sander with medium grit foam pads to sand the curved edges on the top. Using these foam sanding pads is the easiest way to sand curves, hands down, by far. A sander without the foam pads is almost worthless on curves. We cleaned up all of the dust with a shop vac to suck up most of the dust, and then a tack cloth to pick up any remaining dust. The final thing we did before painting the buffet was to give it a good priming. We rolled bin primer onto the drawers and doors, and when it dried, we noticed some areas of bleed through and uneven wood showing up. To fix this, we decided to go back in with a thin layer of Bondo over them, then sanded it down smooth. We applied another coat of bin primer over the newly repaired areas and also primed the rest of the buffet. After the primer dried, we sanded down all the primed areas for a smooth surface. Then taped off the drawers and top with pre-taped plastic and painter's tape. We're going to stain the top, so we made sure to protect it from getting any paint on it. Then we sprayed clear shellac as a final barrier to help prevent any more bleed through before we started painting. Clear shellac is one of the best primers to stop bleed through, and it also creates great adhesion for the paint. But it also dries smooth, and I don't have to sand it like I do with bin shellac. It is such a good primer. I will say though, I probably should have hit it with another coat of clear shellac before painting. Remember how we removed the old trimming molding earlier? I cut off the tops of them and reattached them next to the dental molding. It just looked weird to have that trim stop way before the edges. And I like the look of the top and the bottom of that molding that we removed, just not the middle part of it. It took us about 3 different tries, but we finally got the molding nailed on and screwed in from the inside of the buffet. But once it was in place, we were ready to move on to painting. We were so excited to finally paint the buffet after all of that prep work. We stirred up our chosen color, the gorgeous saltwater color from Heirloom Traditions paint, which is a beautiful pale bluish greenish color. If you're not familiar with this paint, it is a true no sand paint. Yeah, you have to clean before using it, and yeah, if you're painting raw wood or you have raw wood spots on your furniture like I do, you must prime before using it. But you don't have to sand your furniture before using it, which means you also probably don't have raw wood spots on your furniture. This is all coming from someone who is a stickler about sanding before painting. This paint, you really don't have to sand if you don't want to. We poured it through a filter and into our cheap Lawn Form paint sprayer. The filter helps to prevent any clogs or lumps in the paint and makes for a really smooth finish. We tested out the spray on a cardboard box first until we got the settings just right, then moved on to painting the buffet, drawers, and doors. We tried something new this time by hanging the doors up vertically while painting them. This technique worked really well for us because it allowed the overspray to settle away from the doors, giving us a smoother finish. In the past, when we have sprayed the doors laying down horizontally, the finish ended up being much rougher because of the overspray that settles onto the surface. It was really easy to do. I just screwed some hooks into the bottom of the doors and hung them up on some regular hangers, but it made a world of difference. There were several cracks, seams, and gaps that were so noticeable after the first coat of paint dried though, so we filled them in with caulking. That made it look so much better. But we also noticed a couple of spots of bleed through. Remember how I said I should have primed more? Here's where I noticed. So we sprayed those areas with more clear shellac, let it dry overnight between coats, before spraying the second coat of Heirloom Traditions paint with our paint sprayer. I've just got to take a moment though and tell you how impressed I am with this sprayer. It's very budget friendly and it creates a beautiful finish. And it's easy to use. Oh, and by the way, they're not paying me to tell you this. So if you want to try spraying, get this sprayer. After the paint was dry, we moved on to working on the top of the buffet. We removed the tape and the plastic that we had on it to protect it from the paint. Then, using a brush, we applied a coat of Varathane water-based tintable wood stain, tinted in Overcast, on the top. This is a yellow stain that will give the wood a nice light base to stain without the reds from the wood poking through. Since it's water-based, we let it dry for 48 hours before we applied the oil-based Early American stain on top of it. These two stains combined gave the top a beautiful, rich, but light color that we absolutely love. I am going to be using this technique over and over again. It is so beautiful. We finished off the top by sealing it with Minwax polyacrylic in a spray can. This not only protects the stained top, but also gives it a nice, smooth finish. 3 coats should do for proper coverage and extra durability. And it was so easy to spray on. I could have used my sprayer to do this, but I don't have to top coat the paint, so the spray can was super fast and easy to just top coat the stain. Then we measured and drilled new hardware holes for the crystal knobs that we had chosen and installed them onto the drawers and doors. It may seem like a small detail, but changing out the hardware can make a huge difference in the overall look for your furniture. So, here's what it looked like before, and here's what it looks like now. And our buffet transformation is complete. What do you think? Did I make it pretty again? I think so. That pale blue color combined with the stained top and the crystal knobs gives it a fresh and updated look while still keeping its vintage charm. You can really see how you can personalize and update an old, outdated piece of furniture just how you want it. I hope this process and our tips help you tackle your own furniture makeover projects. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons to see more of our videos. Thanks so much!
Are you confused and not sure where to start with your furniture makeover? Don't worry, I got your back. Click the link in my comment to download our free painting checklist so you can paint your furniture as if you hired a professional to do it.